they come on the podium, there will be no more clapping, no cheering, and no jeering. We have to emphasize that. I'm still waiting for the candidate of the African Action Congress, Omoyele, to take the podium. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. Next is the candidate, that's the presidential candidate of the Action Democratic Party, Engineer Yabagi Yusuf Sani, that's of the ADP. Thank you very much. And as he takes the podium, right on the heels of Engineer Yabagi, of course, is the presidential candidate of the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party, ANRP, in the person of Tope Fasua. It is my pleasure to invite to the podium the presidential candidate of the Alliance for New Nigeria, ANN, Fela Durotoye. Thank you very much. Next is the presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, Donald Duke. Please put your hands together one more time for the candidate of the SDP. And last but not the least is the presidential candidate of Young Progressives Party, YPP, Kingsley Moghalu. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, it's good to see you tonight. And I'm sure you're ready to take on all the questions burning in the minds and the hearts of Nigerians scattered all over the world, of course, right here in the hall and within the country. But before we get on with it tonight, it's time to pay honor to our great nation. I'll urge everyone to rise as we take the national anthem. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, just to be sure, gentlemen, if you can look at your microphone there should be a blue light. Can you confirm that you can see that? That indicates that we can hear you when you begin to speak, of course. All right, first off, Nigerians would like to know you, for those who don't already, and I would like to, do this in alphabetical order. But let me take the, the other way around. Since I called Mr. Sowore first, let me start from my extreme left with the candidate of the Young Progressives Party, Professor Kingsley Moghalu. You have 2 minutes to tell us exactly what your party manifesto is, and really, why should Nigerians trust you to lead them in the next 4 years by casting their vote for you?
Thank you. For 60 years, we've been an independent country. But too many of our people, too many Nigerians, still don't have the basic things of life. They don't have electricity. They don't have good health care. They don't have good schools. They don't have good infrastructure. The time has come to ask, as we vote in 2019, are we the children of lesser gods? Malaysia, China, Singapore, Japan, these countries were all once backward. But today, they are what we look up to. The difference lies in 2015, it was anything but Jonathan. Let 2019 not be anything but Buhari. 2019 should be about a fundamental shift away from the recycled, old, incompetent, and visionless political class that has held us down for far too long. It is time for us to elect a competent leader. That means a leader who has a vision, who has capacity, character, and has had experience and knowledge of nation building, by which I mean using the authority of the state to create a national identity, working through the institutions of statecraft. It is time to have a leader who understands how to manage the economy. The YPP proposes to Nigerians a fundamental social contract such as has never been in place in this country before. That social contract will create the trust between the people and the government that has been broken for the last 60 years. Without it, we cannot move. We will constitutionally restructure the Federal Republic of Nigeria so that we can move forward, not backwards. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. The candidates of the Young Progressives Party, YPP there, Professor Kingsley Moghalu. Now to the candidates of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, Mr. Don, you the man that is required to Nigeria. Can you tell us?
Let me take it off from one who has experience, who has actually done something, who has the experience of governing and knowing how Nigeria works. I feel I have an unfair advantage on this podium, having led a state for 8 years, and albeit I'll say successfully. We can all articulate our problems. We know the challenges of Nigeria. At the turn of independence, our population was 45 million. Today, it's 200 million. In 30 years, it's 400 million. We'll be the third most populous nation on earth. If we don't change the trajectory of this nation, there's disaster looming. If at 200 million, this is our fate, this is our lot. Kidnapping, insecurity, you name it. At 400 million, I shudder to think where we would be. We have regressed over the last 40 years, and I want to use statistics here. In 1980, President Shagari budgeted 25. So we're a nation in regress. Our nation is imperiled by this. And it's not just the vision and the strategy, but the extraordinary will to make it happen. We have two challenging problems: poverty and impunity. Impunity in the sense that we don't respect the laws of our nation. But poverty is the kernel that...
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Donald Duke. Next, of course, is the candidate of the Alliance for New Nigeria, ANN. No, actually it's not. It's the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party candidate in the person of Tope Fasua. Please, I would like to crave your indulgence if you can pull off the first cap. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that. Thank you very much. So you have 2 minutes to tell us whether you really are the man for the job. Do you have what it takes to steer the ship of this country to where the generality of Nigerians are hoping that it should go? Can you tell us that in 2 minutes?
Thank you very much. My name is Tope Fasua. I'm running for president on the platform of ANRP, which we know as the Computer Party. The logo for the party is actually a computer, like a laptop. The name Abundant Nigeria speaks for itself because we realized very early on in the day that Nigeria is a country of abundance, of natural resources, but especially human resources. However, we also suffer the paradox of poverty because we also happen to be the biggest country with the largest number of poor people in the world, the largest level of inequality in the world, largest number of mother and child mortality, and largest number of children out of school. And therefore, this is what we're here to reverse. I'm an economist, and I realize that Nigeria suffered from a scarcity of economists in recent times. And of course, very good economists as well, who can think through processes and who can look at different variables that affect the reason why we're here today and proffer solutions to take us forward. I believe Nigerians should vote for me because I'm a practical person. I've actually been on the streets demonstrating about the budget level that Mr. Duke spoke about, but I probably want to put a bit of correction there. I did the research. As at 1983, Nigeria's budget was actually $20.5 billion. Then the budget was read on the 31st December 1983, on the 30th of December, but on the next day, 31st December, the military struck and Buhari came in as a Major General then. Of course, he reduced the budget to $15 billion. Of course, it's a paradox and it's a tragedy that we're where we are today. We have a lot of great ideas in ANRP, and I'll be urging everybody watching me right now, everywhere you see the computer, on voting day, kindly append your thumbprint on it, because we are the party of the future, and the future is now. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. The candidate of the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party there, Mr. Tope Fashoa. Next is the presidential candidate of the Alliance for New Nigeria, Mr. Fela Durotoye. You are a motivational speaker, businessman, background in finance and all of that. Is that all it will take to steer Nigeria forward?
Well, let me start by saying good evening to every one of you, and thank you to my co-debaters. My name is Fela Durotoye, and I am the presidential candidate for the Alliance for New Nigeria Party, ANN. And that's the party with the logo of the lion in the 2019 general elections. I'm 47 years old, and like the moderator said, I am a business management consultant, a leadership expert, and most importantly, a nation builder. Which means that I am one person who has accepted responsibility, like many other people, especially even those on this stage, and those of you that are listening to me, for accepted responsibility for the well-being of our country, not just for our own personal well-being. But we believe that our generation can be able to liberate this nation, this blessed nation, from the clutches of those who have ruled us and held us back for so long, more than 50 years. But then we are also committing our time, our energy to do something to deliver the future of our nation. Let me be very clear. Nigeria is a blessed nation. We are blessed with all the resources that any nation can dream of. Mineral resources, natural resources, human resources. But we have not yet become a great nation. A great nation where things work for everyone. Where what is accessible to the rich is also available to the poor. Good quality transport, good quality education, food for all, housing for all, power for all. And I, under the leadership of the ANN and leading this great country, will ensure that we are able to deliver a nation that works for everyone. A nation where everyone has jobs and opportunities, where businesses can prosper and succeed because it is a safe environment. We will do these great things, and I will show you in the next few moments how we plan to go about this as the Alliance for New Nigeria Party. It is time for Nigeria to be released from the shackles of these rulers that has held us bound. God bless you.
All right, thank you very much. The candidate of the Alliance for New Nigeria, Fela Durotoye. Next is the presidential candidate of the Action Democratic Party, Engineer Yabagi Yusuf Sani. Are you the one that will unshackle Nigeria?
Certainly so. Good evening, great Nigerians. I am running for this office because I believe the knowledge which I have is required. Because the only reason why we are where we are today, battling with poverty, killings, and hunger, is because we have given power to those who have no knowledge of how to use that power. And I am from a background, by way of experience, that tells me that I need to step forward because we have a gift of God in this country. Of all the sectors of the economy, there's one that stands out, which gives us 80% of the revenue that we utilize to grow this economy. And I have a unique knowledge of how that sector works, and I know that if you have a company and you have somebody who has knowledge of how 80% of the revenue is managed, I think you will not take another person than that person. I have worked in NNPC in terms of advising them. I have worked advising the federal government at the highest level. I have schemes that are put in place, which was to check the theft of crude oil and gas and the nefarious activities happening at our terminals, so that going forward, Nigeria will begin to know how much we are making from crude oil, how much we are producing, and how much should accrue to us, so that Nigeria can be great. Because Nigeria, like we know, is a promise of greatness. We have human capital. The mere size of this country is an asset. The location of this country is an asset. Somebody like me, given the opportunity to run this country, believe you me, in 100 days of my government, Nigerians would not believe that this is the same country where we are battling with poverty, killings, and restlessness. So that is why I'm coming forward to be given the opportunity to run the affairs of this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, candidate of the Action Democratic Party, Engineer Yabagi Yusuf Sani. Now to my extreme right, to the presidential candidate of African Action Congress, AAC, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. Well, you've been carrying on the campaign of take it back from who to what? Can you tell us in 2 minutes?
Thank you very much. And my name is Omoyele Sowore. I will turn 48 years old on February 16, 2019, exactly the day of the presidential election. Yes.
Will that be your birthday present?
That's, I hope Nigerians will give me that present. Don't buy anything, just vote for me. And let me tell you a little story about Nigeria. Between 1879 and 1900, a company little known as the Royal Niger Company was hired by the British government to set up a colony known as Nigeria. They completed their work in 1914, uniting the Southern Protectorate with the Northern Protectorate. Nigeria was set up as a business, a supermarket for the British colonial masters. And in 1960, we were supposed to transform into a nation. We never had that opportunity because for 58 years now, some clueless, corrupt, and wicked political jackals in this country took over the country and started running it as a business in which now Nigerians have become refugees in their land. Our young people cannot get employment. Our children are no longer safe in their school. Our farmers are not safe on their farmlands. Even our soldiers are not safe on their front lines. And today, we have a country in which people are sad, they are broken, and they are despondent. And what I'm telling you is just a short story. But for us to transform this country from a business to a nation, you need a young, vibrant, intellectually sound, courageous young man. And I say young, not exactly young, but youthful, who can take on special interests in this country. Have made it impossible for you and I to have a country we can call our own. And if you're looking for someone, you should look for a fighter when you're at war. This country is at war with its rulers, not leaders.
Right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Your time is up, please.
Thank you.
The presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, the AAC, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. Now that you have all heard from the candidates, those who are seeking your votes come February 16. Let's take a short breather while you down a little sip of water, and then we will get on with it very, very shortly. Just a 30-second break. Thank you. The 2019 presidential debates, this could actually pass for the final before the very election that comes up February 16. Well, you have heard from all our 6 presidential candidates, and they have in 2 minutes been able to give you exactly what they stand for and what they think the problem with Nigeria is, and, well, very briefly, how they think they can solve it. But let's get to the very details of this. And I would like to begin with the issue of job creation. You would, of course, gentlemen, understand that employment is a key indicator of how any economy is doing, and Nigeria is no exception. Of course, some experts like yourselves have actually said that it has been economic growth in the last decade or so, but there has not been a requisite transformation of the economic structure, if you do get my point. So what are your plans for a sustainable economic growth? Do you have any plans? Give us that in 2 minutes. Let me begin with the candidate of the Young Progressive Party, Professor Kingsley Moghalu.
The reason why our country has remained...
Please feel free to raise the mic if it's... so that we can hear you.
The reason why our country has remained poor and our economy has always underperformed, despite the fact that we have so many brilliant economists in this country, is simple. Nigeria has no clearly defined economic philosophy. Without an economic philosophy, you cannot have a strong economic vision. Without an economic vision, you cannot have effective economic policy. Without economic policy, you cannot create the institutional and market frameworks to give people jobs. That is what has been lacking. My government, as the next president of Nigeria, will fix this problem. To fix it, you need to understand two things. You need to understand economic philosophy. You need to understand political economy. Is Nigeria a capitalist nation? If so, what are the conditions that make a capitalist country succeed economically and make capitalism work for the man on the street? Those conditions are three. Number one, property rights. Number two, innovation. Number three, capital. We will make sure that property rights in this country are fully respected. The first thing to do is to move for the abolition of the Land Use Act as a constitutional amendment. Number two, I will move Nigeria's economy, my government will move Nigeria's economy from oil dependency to an innovation economy. That is what drives the economy of every other country that is making progress. Number three, we will make access to finance easy to create businesses that will create jobs. Small and medium enterprises are the drivers of job creation. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much for putting that very succinctly. All right, so, so many skills are actually phasing out in another decade or so. A lot of the courses that people go to university to study will not be relevant anymore to the economy. There is artificial intelligence right around the corner. Mr. Donald Duke, the candidate of the SDP, what will be your economic plan to ensure that Nigeria is not left behind?
It's all about productivity. We have a dismal productive base as a nation. We like to style ourselves as the largest economy on the continent at 400 billion with a population of 200 million. But just take South Africa, $375 billion economy with 57 million people. So it's all about productivity. There are principally four things you do to enhance the productivity of an individual. Skill-based, not just education. It's no longer, education is not as it was before, literacy. No, it has to be functional, it has to be skilled. Health, requisite infrastructure. And in the modern world, and you mentioned it, artificial intelligence, you must embrace technology. But I want to say this. All these sound good. You can do all these things. You can talk about property rights and innovation, as Mr. Moghalu said. But they come to nothing if access to capital is this problem in Nigeria. Affordability and access to capital is very low in Nigeria. And I'm intrigued that Mr. Moghalu said this, because for a couple of years he was Deputy Governor of Central Bank. And he was in charge of financial institutions. Under his supervision, interest rates in Nigeria were hovering between 25 and 30%.
Please raise your mic so that we can hear you.
Interest rates in Nigeria were hovering between 25 and 30%. You cannot grow a country where 80% of the population are dependent on the goodwill of maybe 20% on expensive capital. It's unheard of. In some countries of the world, developed nations, interest rate is almost zero because you want people to go out there, lend money, borrow money, and enhance their businesses. But here we are. We raise the bar so high that the preponderance of us cannot access capital at all.
Right, thank you very much. To the candidate of the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party, Tope Fasua, Well, so much has been said about Nigeria being the poverty capital of the world. I'm sure you've heard that over and over again, that it's almost dizzying. And then you have an economically active population of between 15 and 64 that is largely unproductive, just like Mr. Donald Duke has just said. Now, how are you going to galvanize all of this to make sure that you actually drive the economy in the direction that it should go?
Thank you very much. I like the word you use, galvanize. I'll speak very quickly because it's a loaded question. Apart from actually putting this government under immense pressure for them to review our budget from 8.8 trillion to 15 trillion naira, when I found out that our budget is only 1/6 of the budget of South Africa, and then we claim to be the largest economy in Africa, I don't believe that Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa, first and foremost. The budget for Cape Town City alone is $3 billion, and there are less than 3 million people in Cape Town. I went ahead and checked in Angola. Their budget is twice Nigeria's budget. There's only 25 million people living in Angola. Kenya, 50 million people, $29 billion. Nigeria is in reverse at 180 kilometers per hour. And that's the reason why we are
Please,
here.
no cheering and no jeering.
This is why we are here. No, I'm just going to add that to my seconds anyway. Anyway, just kidding. So, apart from that, the point is that I've also put this government under pressure, and it's an international issue. Nigeria should be growing at 15% per annum. We should be doing double digits. And
how will that translate into jobs? This is about job creation.
Absolutely.
That's the question.
That's the visioning. All right, you're taking my seconds now.
Go ahead.
But this is the visioning, right? It's about the visioning. First of all, before you can achieve anything, you have to vision and vision where you need to be. All right? If you're having a dismal budget that's smaller than what you had in the 1980s, when Nigeria was 70 million people, and now we're 190 million, you can't find the jobs. But let me say this about the jobs. It's not only about capital. There's that overemphasis on capital. We don't even understand capital. Human capital, labor, is used to replace physical capital these days and vice versa. And so I believe that the biggest capital we have are young people, which we should unleash now. Part of what we're going to do in my government, we're going to create a certain policy called the Cleanest, Safest, and the Most Organized Country in Africa project, where we're going to plug in our youth, because there's a lot of jobs, even in the public sector, in environment, in security, in education, some of which we're going to be able to talk about as we go along. Thank you very much. All right,
thank you very much. The candidate of the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party there, Tokwe Fasua. Now to you, Mr. Feladurotoye. How exactly, what do you even think is fundamentally wrong with our economy? Do you understand why we are where we are, as far as job creation is concerned, in a way that you'll be able to proffer solutions? And how soon, if you become president, can we begin to see a change as far as jobs is concerned? I mean, you have a situation where unemployment rate right now is quite high, about 20 million Nigerians unemployed, or some would say 20.9%, while about 55% of the youth population is unemployed, or even underemployed or unemployable.
Well, you asked a really great question, and every Nigerian is listening to this very, very, very important moment. You've asked, what is the greatest problem that we have with creating jobs? And I would say it's our political class. It's those who have ruled us with the intent of manufacturing unemployment. And they've done a damn good job at it. In other words, they've created unemployment so that the people, the young people of this country who form the majority of this nation and the voting public will become so impoverished that election cycle after election cycle, they will be looking for 500 naira to eat. And when they come with their 500 naira, having not had jobs for 4 years, that they will then be re-elected back and they will continue to hold power. Unemployment in Nigeria is man-made, and it is created by the people that have ruled us for the last, especially 20 years. So let me tell you what we're going to do to turn it around. First of all, we've got to understand that everything your eye sees is job. It is this microphone is jobs. This mobile phone is jobs. This pen is jobs. What you're wearing is jobs. Any nation that does not manufacture cannot create jobs. And so it's important that we are able to create things and make things that will build our economy, but more importantly, build the products that we need to survive. So what are we going to do? The ANN-led government is going to create a special business intervention fund of 1 trillion naira. And that fund will be used to power the establishment of 1 million businesses that will have business plans committed to hire at least five people in each one of them. So within the first 1 year, the ANN-led government will create 5 million jobs, in addition to simply by just cleaning up our database today and connecting those people who have skills with the people who need to have people to employ, we can create at least 3 million jobs. On top of that, there are opportunities to create 10 million jobs in agriculture, 7 million jobs in housing, 3 million jobs in road construction, 1 million teachers will be employed, and through technology and entertainment, we will create 4 million jobs. So we have already mapped out all these things. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The candidate of the Alliance for New Nigeria there, Mr. Feladroto. Now to the candidate of the Action Democratic Party, Engineer Yabagi Sani. Jobs, 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 that is what's on the mind of Nigerians, especially the youth. If you go all across the country, you find jobless youth totally idle. Do you have the magic wand to change the narrative as far as job creation is concerned?
Yes, very much so. The symbol of our party is a book, meaning that education is very important. When you have educated population, creating jobs is no longer a problem. We also understand the fact that insecurity is a big problem that we have in this country, because 70% of our population who happen to be farmers today cannot go to their farms. So we must solve the problem of insecurity so that we can grow jobs. People don't have to come to the urban centers, and to be living in squalors or something like that. So our government is going to run on 5 elements. Capacity. We are going to grow capacity of the government. We are going to have a vision that everybody can key into. We are going to have credibility, and we are also going to have organization and plan. That is what this present government lacks. No vision, no capacity, no organization, no credibility. The moment you have that, investments will chase you, because foreign investments are looking for destinations that have the kind of fundamentals that Nigeria has. Nigeria is big in terms of resources, in terms of human capital, in terms of the mere size of the country. You produce anything in Nigeria, 200 million people are there. If they are earning living wage or living in a manner that they have purchasing power, you grow this economy. Our economy 2014 was about almost $600 billion. Today, our economy has shrunk to about $360 billion, which means you have lost almost 30% of your economy, and you say we're not in recession. We're actually in recession. CBN has come out to tell us that we are back in recession. They didn't say it directly, but it's true. So what we are going to do is that we are going to take advantage of where we have comparative advantage, which is the oil and gas. We are not going to take jumbo loans from countries like China and we become slaves in 20 years or 10 years' time. We are going to grow that economy through internally generated revenue from oil and gas, plow it into agriculture, housing, education, and also infrastructure development.
All right, thank you very much. The candidate of the Action Democratic Party, the engineer Yabagi Yusuf Sani. Now to the candidate of the African Action Congress, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. What really can you do to turn around the situation in providing jobs for the teeming population of young people that I believe you are very concerned about? More than half of them are jobless.
Thank you. And let me say here that there's no economic philosophy in the world that can provide jobs when you don't have electricity. That is number one. Or that can provide you jobs when you don't have infrastructure. In fact, Bill Gates came to Nigeria and said to our leaders that as long as you are not investing in your youth, forget about economic development. So why are we here wasting our time dancing around the issue? When countries have problems about creating jobs, they invest in public works projects. So what are we going to do? In the power sector, we are increasing our power generation from 5,000 to 17,000. That will provide over 2 million jobs in the solar energy sector alone, renewables. We are going to double our infrastructure. There are 202 federal kilometers of 202,000 kilometers of federal highways. We want to increase that to 400,000 kilometers. Our railway system is about 3,775 kilometers. We want to double that. We want to provide drinking water, and the federal government must be the one driving the development. We must invest in our youth. We must invest in our people. As long as we don't invest in our education, we are also wasting time. What are we going to do? We are hiring 200,000 teachers. Immediately we come into office. And going from that, we are hiring 160,000 health workers to go to the rural areas, 200 per local government, because health is wealth. The problem with our country is that we have not placed ourselves in a position to produce because we don't invest in our people, because our leaders don't love us. And it is not true that we don't have economic philosophers. Every 4 years, the World Bank sends out here somebody they said is the best economist at the World Bank. But they leave us broken because they bring in here the structural adjustment program, what Fela Nicola will call suck African people at the expense of our country. So what we're going to do is provide jobs in all these sectors and make Nigeria a place that is workable for Nigerians.
All right, thank you very much. The candidate of the African Action Congress, AAC, Omoyele Sowore. Now, you just touched on infrastructure. Now, Nigeria has an infrastructure deficit that is in trillions. Experts say that Nigeria, that's according to the African Development Bank, that Nigeria needs about $100 billion every year to close the infrastructure gap. Now, how would you finance this huge, capital that we need to fix the infrastructure deficit, whether it's in the area of rail, roads, and any infrastructure that you want to talk about?
Yes.
Kingsley Mowalo, please.
Yes, the YPP government will do a number of things to be able to finance infrastructure much more effectively. Let me first say that the current government has borrowed $12 billion over the past 3 years. No jobs have been created. Let's be very clear. So without the foundations, you will go nowhere. Now, on the question of financing infrastructure specifically, my government will turn the new Development Bank of Nigeria into what looks like the BNDES of Brazil, a super development bank that will finance long-term infrastructure in Nigeria. And that bank will have a charge on the consolidated revenue fund of this country. That's what that bank should be doing, not what it is doing now. What it should be doing, what it's doing now in terms of trying to give loans to small businesses, is what the venture capital fund of 1 trillion naira, which I proposed more than a year ago, but that idea has become attractive to many people afterwards. That's what that 1 trillion naira venture capital will be doing, financing the starting up of new businesses. We will also go the route of public-private partnerships.
Anything happens untoward, the government owes you 10 million naira right there so that your family is not abandoned. Love you guys. I have a $250 donation from Bolande Oyabayo. $100 from Franco Kyria. I think that's all we have from.
Baba K. Edros on Facebook is asking, but what are you still doing with money 2 days to go?
Interesting. Thank you for the question. We have a rally tomorrow. We have to provide T-shirts, hats, up until election day. So just so you know, we'll keep raising funds. We have polling agents, and somehow Nigeria is not free to be a polling agent. We just want to support them with whatever we can have to buy water while they're waiting to ensure that votes are collected and answered. Thank you. Hope that was responsive enough. Let me see if okay.
Only one Chico is asking what you're doing about the State of the Nation address tomorrow.
Which one? Is there a Nigerian Nation State of Address? State of the Nation address tomorrow? I don't think they do it here. We know. Yes. Thank you.
People are asking you to give a shout out to Mayegun.
What happened to Mayegun?
They say he's been supporting you.
Oh, Mayegun in general, yes. Amazing guy. I think recently was his birthday too. Yes, Mayegun General, you know how I feel about you. Same way I feel about Tuned North, right? Sherman, right? Duncan Mighty went and played for APC, played for PDP, but say he wants to come and play for us. I haven't heard from him because tomorrow is our next and last rally. Yeah. Wes, if you want us to give a shout out to anybody, say it. We'll do so. I will do so. Wes. We will, if there are no questions, we'll end this at 10:30. Yeah. No questions, we'll end this at 10:30. Is anybody coming? So our last donor here is still Tokumbo Valerina Olorunfemi for 30,000 naira. Mr. President, I wish you good luck. I pray for you to win this coming election. In the name of Jesus, may God give you the grace. God bless you. My name is Ojo Haupe. I'm on Facebook. I live in Lagos around the Alumosho local government area. Ikotun Yanodo. Pastor, please exit number. I don't want to mention his exact numbers. Keep him safe. Thank you so much for reaching out.
Waribio Show on YouTube is saying, my question is, why is it only Buhari and Atiku that were the ones who attended the peace meeting?
So, interesting, very good question. We wanted to attend the peace meeting today, but when we got there, our name was not put on the list. So but, our VP, who was sent to represent us, did put up a fight and eventually they included him. We don't have any reason to sign the peace accord. It's ceremonial. We're not the violent party. It's PDP and APC that are violent. We've done over 200 events at the AAC, and we've not recorded a single case of violence, maybe except in Oshodi where something untoward happened. But we're good.
People are asking you to shout out to Shegun Olo and Sisin Ewe.
Is Shegun Olo having his birthday too?
He said he endorsed you today or something.
Shegun Olo endorsed me. Wow. Shegun Olo, shout out to you, man. Good job. Season AY, we want Season AY Facebook page to come back. Working on that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Ramite Guns wants you to shout out to his son, Ariel Guns, the boy that did the video.
Ariel Guns. Love that family. Shout out to you. Who else want a shout out? The shout out is so powerful. It's Hurricane. Shout out.
So you should give a shout out to Mega Comrade.
Mega. It is a mega in Dallas. Shout out to you, bro. Man, we're going to win this together. Thank you so much. Who else? I want to give a shout out to my son, Coco, Chief Coco. Shout out to you tonight, and my daughter, Umide. Shout out to you, Mami Care, and my wife, Shelly Coco. Shout out to you as well. So who else? Shout out to the diaspora, Malcolm Fabiyi, Adeola Davis. Oh my God. Pius Amoriga. Shout out to our representatives from South Africa. Doris Ikere, Solari, Shola Solari, her husband. Shout out to, Lesky, Lekio Tunoga. Shout out to Miss Tower. Right? What's Tower's last name, man? You gotta find out for me. Shout out to Kola Moyeni. Shout out to Victor. Victor is from Germany. Shout out to Ben Agbausi, who came from California. Shout out to all of you who are out there. Shout out to, the lady who handles the camera. What's your name again? Can you just tell me your name? Yes, our camera person's name. She works very, very, very hard. Tsunami Koja.
Shout out to Motrayo, who is helping out with just making sure everything okay. Abiyeme Hiola, shout out to you. Shout out to Zainab Yusuf, who's